I am of Slavic descent. I have warrior blood. I am feisty and independent, and I love the color red. Now, this works well with my New Jersey upbringing because Jersey makes you tough. It is eat or be eaten. It is, you always have it all together. Everything's cool. But, Jersey people also have heart. We sometimes get a bad rep. Well, being Slavic, I also have Slavic hair. Thin, baby fine, and flat. And growing up, well, a lot of times we want what we don't have. And I dreamed of long, thick, lush auburn curls. Jane Seymour was my beauty idol. But it was not nature's way. And so in my young 20s, I followed in my mother's footsteps, and I began perming my hair. And I kept doing that even when out of fashion, because for me it was curls, sass, and freedom. Now, I tell you that for a little bit of context about a time that I gave some very serious thought to changing my image and by extension what that means for who I am. In 2010, I came here to go to graduate school in Washington, D.C. from California, where I'd been living for a long time. And being on the DC scene had been a long aspiration of mine, which started in my late 20s when I became best friends with a coworker who had served in the Peace Corps in Nicaragua during the whole Iran-Contra era. She had some interesting tales. But she made me watch a fiery documentary that had actual footage of George Herbert Walker Bush, so Bush Sr., who was then head of the CIA, in some, let's say, shady dealings with the Panamanian dictator Manuel Noriega, among other people. Now, before that, I had been completely politically unaware. But I saw this and I thought, that is my government? That's what they're doing with our taxes? And some kind of switch in me got flipped at that point, and I became very, very interested in all things DC. Couldn't get enough of books, movies, Enemy of the State, that Camel Club. Last night I even went to see that new movie, 13 Hours. I was just totally hooked. But I also developed this really deep sense of patriotism, and I believed that I had the intelligence, the commitment, and the passion that I could come here and do something that actually made a difference. So fast forward a couple decades, I've been living in California, working for the man in Silicon Valley, and I'm not having a real good time. And I'm starting to feel restless, and I'm feeling like I'd like a change, but it's hard to get over your inertia. And my sister sadly passes away from cancer at a much too early age. So it made me kind of reevaluate the accommodation I had been making about not going for things that I really wanted to do. So I applied to grad school, I packed my bags, I move across the country, and I enter school at age 49 as a full-time student. Now, I can tell you don't see a whole lot of 49-year-old full-time students on college campuses these days. Folks didn't know quite what to make of me, and I didn't really understand the environment here all that well either. Just one example, I took this technology policy class, and I thought it was great. It was so interesting because I finally saw the government's approach to the infrastructure of my industry. And that's why I came here. I said, this is really cool. My teacher worked at the White House. He's a really smart guy. I really liked him. But he had us one night break into these little teams. I mean, in school, they make you do these little group exercises. And our exercise that night was to negotiate the federal budget, the real federal budget, which was under review at the time. Now, I had taken graduate courses for years, and I expected polite collegial discourse and teamwork in my classroom setting. Well, what happens is all this strong arming for my classmates' pet issues that they want to make sure gets in that budget. And anybody who doesn't have a strong enough or a well-formed enough opinion about something basically gets ignored. And the woman who's recording all the notes for the class, whatever she decided was, that's what the group decides, that's what she recorded and would get sent back to the teacher. So I'm thinking, but this seems a little odd to me. I don't quite understand this behavior. And even in other settings, I was noticing a lot of conformity, maybe a little bit of sucking up. It was kind of a DC way that was very different from the hey, we're all hip and cool, Silicon Valley way, we're all peers here. So I was kind of off my footing, but I thought, I'll get this figured out. So I'm in school, I'm going along, I'm having a great time, I'm studying, I'm learning a lot, and I'm trying to network. And it's getting near graduation time, and I'm thinking, all right, what am I gonna do with a degree in tech policy? You know, what kind of job can I get? Now, Jersey girl likes to think, I got this all handled, I got it figured out. But I'm thinking, well, maybe some help wouldn't hurt. And the administration office, when I had been recruited for my graduate program, kept telling me how great the career counseling office was for getting students placed. So like, all right, I'm gonna go see a career counselor. And I get excited about this because I think this woman's gonna help me. She's gonna, you know, make me figure out that secret sauce. I'm gonna get the DC dream job that I've wanted. So we meet. She's a total DC insider. She's a PhD academic, and she's really comfortable in her ivory tower, and she's used to placing 20-somethings in internships. She has no idea what to do with me or my Silicon Valley background. So over the course of our somewhat awkward conversation, she's saying to me, you're gonna have to differentiate. You're just gonna have to do something that stands out. Like being a 49-year-old student from California wasn't enough, right? So just happens that right before this meeting, I'd had a perm. And my hair was pretty curly. In fact, it might have been a tad overdone. But they generally relax over a few weeks, so I don't worry about that too much. If that happens, I don't even think about it really anymore. But I'm sitting in this room and I'm asking this woman for help. And I'm hoping for a little ROI on the considerable tuition that I have written to George Washington. And she's telling me I gotta differentiate, and she stops and she looks at me and she says, well, your hair's kind of unusual. People might remember that. I was crushed. Slavic warrior princess who had ridden into DC on a mission felt defeated. I fought back tears in the elevator and on the way home, because all of a sudden I understood that expression, if you want a friend in DC, get a dog. And I started giving very serious consideration to changing my image. Should I become one of those pearl necklace wearing, flat pumped, frumpy suited women with very neatly bobbed haircuts that you see on Capitol Hill? Was that going to be the key to me meeting my DC dream? I spent several days very depressed and upset. And then Jersey girl poked her head up, and she was pissed. Slavic warrior princess got back in the saddle. Did Miss Ivory Tower, who I suspect would have kind of a hard time making it out there in the real world, did she actually say that to me? Were you talking to me? I knew that I would stay here because I love this area and this is where I want to be, but it was going to take some other way because pearls and bobbed hair were just not for me. A few days later, I traded in my conservative black bag for a lovely new red purse. 4 years have gone by. I am still here, and I continue to perm my hair to this day. Thank you.